ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। ओम नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपेष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी। जय हो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता श्री राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। So, in earlier presentations, we have seen that Lord Krishna was talked about, you know, first gave transcendental knowledge to Arjuna. Thereafter, how his transcendental information was conveyed to Arjuna, and how he is a transcendental in all aspects and as compared to the material ones. So this was discussed earlier in the section 1 and 2. You can see here knowledge about the Krishna being transcendental, and second, Krishna as the goal of all paths and creator of all varnashrama system, and all the paths means that Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate destination. Now in section 3 is telling about more about Karma Yoga. That is partly we have already heard about it, that he is beyond the reactions of any action. He is not bound by any kind of, affected by, nor the results of any action of Krishna touch him. So this we have already covered up till now. And the 9 processes and 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga, they were discussed. Then we discussed about worship of demigods, the difference between Supreme Personality of God and demigods. Then Lord said that Chaturya Varnam Maya system, Gun Karma Vibhagsha, for based on the quality and actions or good and karma, the society was divided into 4 sections by himself. And those were 4 sections were Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudras. And each was assigned certain kind of, and also the mode of was discussed that Brahmanas work in the mode of goodness, the Kshatriyas work in the mode of passion, and Vaishyas in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras, of course, and then we discussed about their different ashrama, which ashrama they belong to. We remember that Brahmins, they belong to all the 4 ashramas. They could enjoy all the 4 ashramas. Kshatriya could not go for sannyas, and similarly, Vaishya could not go for, Banprasth and sannyas, and ultimately Sudras, they were bound by Grahastha ashram only. And then he said that no work affects me, nor he is touched by any actions. And we had this example here. Now we'll continue with this one, section 3, understanding karma on the platform of jnana. The importance of this sentence is that we are doing a lot of activities on day-to-day basis. So these activities have to be understood from the angle of knowledge, real knowledge. What is that real knowledge? What we are doing is good or bad, or we should do or not. So on the platform of what Vedas say, these actions have been described in the 3 heads. Removing reactions, that means whatever action we do, we have to remove the actions. Then transcendental knowledge helps one to clear up philosophical doubts. Many doubts come. Even the Arjuna's was also very doubtful for many things. So when Lord gave him transcendental knowledge of himself, the doubts went away. It also helped to clear up karmic bank balance. Karmic bank balance, we know if we do good job, good activities or good actions, then they accumulate good results for us. And if we do bad things, then these. So karmic balance is maintained. But if we go for transcendent, we attain the transcendental knowledge of Lord Krishna, then this karmic balance also gets burnt up. That means it becomes, one becomes free from this kind of binding. Karma is a universal law of nature. For every action, there is a reaction. We know this is what science also says. So whatever we do, whether we do a good work or a bad work, it has a reaction. And that is what we feel. And you will remember about the sin cycle. There is kutam, bijam, then aprarabdha and prarabdha. Some of our actions get matured in this life only, then it becomes prarabdha, and sometime some actions in this life are carried over to next life, then it becomes aprarabdha. And when there is suitable time, this kutam, the tendency to commit sin, becomes manifest in the form of bijam, and bij ultimately in favorable condition becomes prarabdha or aprarabdha. So that is, so good karma or bad karma. So as was discussed earlier, person in mode of goodness does good work only. But we have to rise above mode of goodness, rise to the Vishnu Tattva or Vishuddha Sattva. That is, we have to transcend the action and inaction both and rise to the transcendental level of Krishna. That is a karma. So, what is Nishkam karma? Can anybody unmute and tell what is Nishkam karma?
Work without expecting the result.
Without any desire for benefits or fruits born out of any action. So Nishkam karma is discussed here. Now Jnana can be, Jnana about karma is that there may be an action, there may be forbidden action, and still while performing an action, there may be inaction. So it sounds a bit philosophical, but we'll come to it. What action really means? Actions as activities done in compliance with the scriptural injunctions. Whatever scriptures say, a person follows those activities, they become actions. Now, forbidden action, of course, just opposite to it, something which is not permitted by Shastras, a person does those activities, those are called forbidden action. Then third is inaction. That is a very high level of refined form of Nishkam karma. That means inaction. The action is carried out, but it does not incur any kind of reaction. This is the highest perfection of Nishkam karma or inaction. So these three forms we shall be discussing now. So karma, vikarma, and akarma. These are the names. So action is karma. Forbidden action is vikarma. V stands for something which is not permitted or which is against the norms. And inaction is akarma. Action is done, but it is not, does not entail any kind of reaction or fruitful desire. So karma are actions which are performed in terms of one's prescribed duties as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. And vikarma, actions which are performed by the misuse of one's freedom, which directs one to the lower form of life. Now, misuse of one's freedom. We know Lord has given minute independence to the soul, and the soul is influenced by the senses, and the mind also gets influenced by the senses influence the mind, mind influences the intelligence, and intelligence ultimately influences the soul. So soul, whatever desire soul desires, that is permitted to be fulfilled by the super soul. That is Paramatma, who is seated in our heart as super soul. He permits, like a loving father, merciful father, to do whatever we wish to do. Though the super soul we know is silent observer and permitter also. We call super soul also Anumanta and Anudrashta. They are simply watching and also simply permitting. So it is the intelligence which has to discriminate what to do, what not to do. So vikarma we utilize our independence, minute independence which Lord has given us, and we do vikarma. We do activities which are against the sanctions of scriptures. Then akarma, actions which free one from the cycle of birth and death. Any activities which are not earning any kind of reaction, or whatever fruits or reactions are coming forth, they are offered to Lord Krishna, then it becomes akarma. So this action have to be understood from the platform of jnana or knowledge. One has to have a knowledge. Whatever actions we do in our day-to-day life, or they are karma, part of karma, but they are mundane karma. They are not sanctioned by keeping body clean, sleeping at right time, taking right type of food, and doing exercise. They are part of karma. They have also sanctioned from shastras, but they are mundane activities. They are not spiritual activities. They are, in fact, they are a routine maintenance activities, in fact. So karma, whenever we talk about karma, we talk about the sanctions of shastras. Whatever permission, whatever scriptures say one should perform in a particular varna and ashram, that is called karma. And vikarma, of course, against the sanction of scriptures or shastras, and akarma is something, activity which does not incur any kind of reaction. So, yes, anybody would like to read this one? Karma. Yes, anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Riya Mataji, please.
Okay. Kim karma, Hare Krishna. Kim karma, kim karmoti, kim akarmati, karvayo pi atra mohita tatte karma prabhakshami yaj jnata mokshayase subhat. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, this one also.
Karmano hi api buddhabhyam cha vikarmana akarmanas cha buddhabhyam gahana karmano gati. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly that action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Kim karmeti kabyo apyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshami yagyatva moksha seshu shubhat. And karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahna karmano gatihi. In fact, the real knowledge of what is karma, what is vikarma, what is akarma is very difficult to understand. Normally, this is, take our own example. Sometimes we do a wrong activity. Internally, we know, but we try to justify that action by putting forth many arguments. So even those persons who are very intelligent, they are very in a perplexed mood or perplexed state of mind to understand what is action, what should be done, what should not be done. That is the meaning here of both the verses. Now, in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons, the disciplic successions like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumaras, Kapil, Prahlad, Bhishma, Goswamis, Yamraj, Janak, and Bali Maharaj, without mental speculation. So what these spiritual masters or sages did in their past, that should be followed without mental speculation. We should not try to judge their actions, or we should presume anything against what they did in our at our mental level. And you will remember Mahajane Yen Gata Sapantha. And Lord Krishna has already mentioned about disciplic succession in the first verse already about it. So system of Krishna consciousness was the first narrated to the sun god. We have already then Manu, Ishvaku, and how this flowed down below the line, and thereafter it was lost. And then Arjuna was fortunate enough to have this knowledge again in the battle of Kurukshetra. So Lord decided to instruct Arjuna Krishna consciousness directly, because he was talking directly. Because of the direct instruction of Lord, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. So this is the importance for all of us, that in fact Krishna is not speaking to Arjuna. Through Arjuna, he is passing on message to all of us. And this message has been delivered in ISKCON through disciplic succession or repeat, and that is through parampara of spiritual masters. So this message is unedited, unaltered as it was in original. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. One who knows, in fact, this real knowledge possesses, his all past activities or past actions are nullified, or past sinful activities are nullified, and he is delivered. Delivered means that he becomes free from the cycle of birth and death, entanglement of material existence, that becomes zero. If one is serious about liberation from material bodies, one has to understand the distinction between action, inaction, and authorized actions. To understand Krishna consciousness, one has to perform actions knowing his relationship with the Supreme as eternal servitor. Now, we have already seen that Jivera Swarup Hai Nitya Krishna Dasa. The real nature of living entity is that we are eternal servant of Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as we forget this thing, and also the second factor that we are part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of our material desires, we have been thrown into this material world, and as soon as we forget it, we get entangled in material enjoyment, and we consider ourselves as the master of our actions, and also we exercise lordship or ownership over the material nature, which does not belong to us. It belongs to Krishna, because he is the creator ultimately. So this sentence is very important, that whatever actions we do, we must consider it as a service to whether we are cooking, whether we are doing any kind of activities, or doing any endeavor at home or at office. Let it be an offering to Krishna, that I am the servant of Krishna and I have been asked by Krishna to do this work, so I am working this like. So to understand Krishna consciousness, one has to perform actions knowing his relationship with the so every action has to be dovetailed with Krishna, whatever action we are doing. All other actions are bikarmas. If we do not dovetail our action with Krishna, then it becomes bikarma or prohibited action. So this is a very significant statement here, that all our activities become. Now, that how do three persons work or behave? Vikarmis, they don't follow the Vedas, risk of being degraded to lower species. So chances, now what is the fate of such person who are Vikarmis? Vikarmis, who are Vikarmis? They are in a mode of ignorance. The persons who are addicted to meat eating, alcohol, gambling, intoxication, and all other kind of vices which are prohibited in Shastras. So what is their fate? They are bewildered in this life, they are illusioned, and also in next life, they are going to take birth in hellish planets or lower planets form of life. So the Vikarmis do not follow the Vedas. Risk of being degraded to lower species, there is a chance, and there is not appreciated by saintly people. Everybody knows this, such people are never appreciated by anybody. And the purpose of life is defeated. The purpose of life is going back to Godhead, back to Lord Krishna's abode. So these are, you can see this person, he is so bewildered and enjoying himself eating a piece of lump of meat, and this happens by killing of animals. Animal slaughter is a sin. Lord Buddha came to just direct his devotees or his followers to the right path, that Shastra permit animal sacrifice, but under certain circumstances. So taking the precept of Vedas, the then followers of Lord Buddha, they were killing animals indiscriminately. So Lord Buddha talked about non-violence, peaceful coexistence at that time. So this action is called epikarma. Then second category comes of karmis. Karmis, we know those persons who act according to injunctions of scripture or who follow the directives of shastras. They follow the Vedas and pious. They are pious people. They attain Swarga. That means they go to heavenly planets. And but one thing is very interesting here. Whenever a person is going to a planet, higher planet, then he assumes a living entity, I'm talking about, out of his pious or piety activities, then he assumes the same form as the Lord over there. Like in Vishnu Loka. The Vishnu Doots, all Vishnu Doots have the same physical form as Lord Vishnu. His Dutas are also four-armed. And when you go to sun planet, the body becomes that of sun, that was fire. And when one goes to Indralok, so wherever one goes, he assumes the same kind of body. So the person who is a karmi, because of his following his scriptures and their directives, he assumes a body, he goes to higher planets on leaving this body, and ultimately, as soon as the credit balance of good activities or good actions has come to zero, he ultimately returns to this Martha. That is, this is material world. And what about karmis? Akarmis, can anybody tell what is this right lower figure? Who is this sage?
Narad Muni.
Yes, he is Narad Muni. Yes, Narad Muni was a akarmi. I hope everybody knows how Narad Muni got this message. So he has come to the platform of devotional service to Krishna. So and knows fruitive activity binds and means rebirth. So he knows the he perfects he possesses perfect knowledge of his actions, what are actions, what are inactions, and what are vikarmas. So he always remembered, so that his mind is never deviated from reciting the name of Narayan and Narayan. So he's always remembered Lord Vishnu. So he is akarmi. But does Narad Muni want anything out of chanting of her holy name? He doesn't want anything. Or because he is already blessed soul, elevated soul. He does not, he is always, Hunter Mrigari, Prahlad Maharaj, all these were directed by Narad Muni ultimately, and he directed, even he was the guru of Vedvyas ji also. So he is always doing all holy and activities which are in a Shuddha transcendental form, not even goodness form. So akarmis are like this. Right? Yes, Riya Mataji, please continue with this one also.
Okay.
Riya
Uh,
Mataji, please. Two verses each, please. Riya Mataji.
okay. Karmani akarma ya pasayat akarmani cha karma ya sa buddhiman manusyesu sa yukta krishna karma krit. One who sees in action, and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Now I'll give you an example here, and from the Mahabharata, this battlefield, that Mahabharata, what happens that Vidura, when the Duryodhana proposed the gambling match between Pandavas and Kauravas, then Vidura actually was very disturbed. He went to Dhritarashtra. He said, this gambling match should not take place between the cousins. It is not good. But Dhritarashtra, at that moment, he did not act according to Shastras. He should have acted. Instead, he passed on the ball to Duryodhana. He said, no, no, I cannot interfere. You go and ask Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, of course, will never refuse, because he was the person who proposed this gambling match. So it was a big karma on the part of Dhritarashtra to not have stopped this gambling match. So one who sees inaction in action, In action, he performs the activity, but does not want any kind of reaction or fruit. And action in action, that he does it, but does not enjoy any. The words are the change of word from inaction to action, action to inaction, but the meaning here, as stated, is the same. Intelligent person knows that whatever action we are doing, they should not incur any kind of fruitful reactions or benefits to me, or if at all they are offered back to Lord Krishna. And inaction. Sometimes this is a query in Krishna consciousness. Say there is a family of 4 persons, and one of the family member is a devotee of Krishna. He is doing chanting. The other 3 might think, what are you doing? You are doing nothing. You are just chanting all the time. So for them, it is inaction. But for the devotee, it is in action. He is doing action. He is praying to Lord. He is doing the japa in the name of the holy name, but it is inaction for others. So, but for him also it is inaction. Because he is doing it consciously, so that his all past activities get burned, or sinful reactions get burned. He becomes free from material bondage and free from the cycle of birth and death. So this is the status of intelligent person. He knows, and he is in the transcendental position. One who knows that whatever I am doing is for Krishna only. It is not mine. It is anything which comes out of action is also offered back to Krishna. Then all kind of activities, mundane activities or shastric activities, they are all offered to Krishna. Then such a person is said to be in action. Yes, Mataji, who would like to read this text next? Yeah, after Riya Mataji. Yeah, Livra Jain Mataji, please. Yeah, Richa Jain Mataji, sorry.
A Casey person is intelligent as though he is engaged in all sorts of activities he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. One in Casey is free from bonds of karma as all his activities are performed for Krishna. Akarma means without reaction to work. The impersonalist ceases fruitive activities out of fear, so that the resultant action may not be stumbling block on the path of self-realization. The personalist, aware that he is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engages himself in Krishna conscious activities. As everyone is done for Krishna, he enjoys transcendental happiness in doing his service. He is immune to all reactions. Action in action is a spiritual, one is supposed to be doing nothing. In action, a non-Krishna conscious.
Thank you, Mataji. So, akarma we have clearly spelled out. Akarma means without any reaction to work. Now, Mayavadis, what is their status? They do not do fruitive activities out of the fear, so that the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self-realization. And what is their path of self-realization? Mayavadis, what are they aiming at? Anyone? Impersonalist, what is their goal of self-realization or God realization?
To get absorbed in Brahma Jyoti.
Yes, Mataji, very nice. So they think that if they do follow the activities as prescribed in the Shastra or the scriptures, then there may be some kind of reaction which may not, which may affect their merging into the Brahmanic this effulgence. So they do not even do activities; they are out of fear. But a Krishna conscious person does activities and offers loving activities to Krishna in the form of devotional service or bhakti, and offers everything, action and reaction, everything to Lord Krishna. So he's not scared about himself. But these impersonalists or Mayavadis, they are very much scared. They're scared and they do not perform any activity. So that is why they are almost in a shant ras. They are neutral. They don't enjoy any kind of relationship with Lord Krishna. They just want to merge and eliminate their individuality. Whereas a Krishna conscious devotee, he wants to retain his individuality and continue to do or discharge loving devotional service to Krishna. This is the difference between the two. And the action in inaction, in spiritual one is supposed to be doing nothing, and inaction is a non-Krishna conscious karmi. So, who is this figure? Anyone can tell? Krishna with a saint here.
Sudama.
Prabhuji, Sudama.
This is one of the Goswamis, Mataji, and we will come to it. 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, I think, you know. Yes, Richa Jain Mataji, please read this one.
Yasya sarva samarambha kam sankalp varjita jnana vidh karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge.
Thank you, Mataji. So now from verse number 19 to 24, what is a karma yogi doing? Karma yogi means a person who does not enjoy any kind of, so the statement that inaction is action. These 5 verses, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, these 5 verses, they are symbolic of inaction in action. So what is that meaning here? One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. But that means whatever action he is doing, he is not doing for his own satisfaction, but for this service, for the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. So he said to be says, to be a worker for whom the reaction of work have been burnt up by the fire of perfect knowledge. This perfect knowledge that what I do is not my activity, it is done in the service of Lord Krishna is the perfect knowledge. So, yes, Mataji. This one, please.
Sattva karma sangam nitya tripto nirashray कर्मण्य भी प्रवृत्तो न तपि नैव किंचित करोति स. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of
So such a karma yogi, he's performed all kind of activities, whereas Mayavadi or impulses, they do not perform any activity. They want to withdraw themselves to, or even yogis also, they want to withdraw themselves from society. They want to hide in a secluded place, sitting solitary manner and doing meditation or doing dhyana only. But they do not perform an activity. So where we have already heard, read earlier, that body and soul are always active. They are never at rest. They are always active. And that is the basic nature. And basic nature of every living entity is to love someone, to have some kind of relationship or rasa with the other person. So impersonalists and the philosophers and scientists, they do not do this rasa. But a person who is in Krishna consciousness or a devotee, he abandons all results of his actions. And he's always satisfied whether whatever comes, you know, he is not affected by any dualities of life, happiness or sorrow or, you know, gain or loss or victory or defeat or anything comes. He is equiposed. We heard this term earlier also, that he is always satisfied and independent, and he accepts every result as a mercy of Lord. He performs no fruitive action because he is not accepting anything for his own self or own sense gratification. But he is engaged in all kinds of undertakings. That means he does everything. Yes, Mataji, this one quickly.
reactions of should I? Yes. Reactions of KC persons work are burnt by his perfect knowledge that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. This knowledge is compared to the fire that burns up all kinds of reactions to work. He is rid of sense gratificatory propensities. This freedom from the bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness, where he has no attraction for the results of the action. For personal maintenance, too, he surrenders to Krishna, is neither interested to secure things nor to protect the things he already has, does his duty to the best of his ability, and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad, as though he was not doing anything. This is the sign of a karma or actions without fruitive reactions. Any non-Kesi action is vikarma, binding upon the worker to his result of activity.
Thank you, Mataji. So we have already had a detailed explanation of what akarma is, and that akarma, a pure devotee of Krishna in Krishna consciousness, whatever he does everything for Krishna. Actions, reactions, the reactions are not earned because everything is for the pleasure of Krishna, not for his own satisfaction or not for his own sense gratification. So he's devoted to Lord Krishna is to such an extent that he does not bother about his personal maintenance because he has surrendered. So personal maintenance, we in our lives, we give so much of attention to our body, but what about to soul? We are not caring for the soul so much as for making up the, maintaining our body. Lot of food, exercise and everything. Yes, it is desirable to certain extent, but but we do not believe that let this be done by Krishna himself. So as a servitor of Krishna, or as a servant of eternal servant of Lord Krishna, one should rest. Two things are mentioned here in the Nectar of Devotion, that one should do minimum maintenance of his body, and second thing is one should feel always helpless before Lord. This is a sign of bhakti. We should always have a deen bhavna. Deen bhavna means a feeling of being very low before Lord, being very fallen down before Lord. Unless we have that kind of surrender and submissive attitude, Lord's mercy will not flow to us. And second is minimum body maintenance. That is, whatever minimum food is required that we should consume, we should not overeat, we should not eat something which is harmful for our health. In Shastras, it is mentioned that one should eat, one eats, say, 4 chapati, just to make it a simple example. If one eats 4 chapati, one should eat only 2 chapati. 2 chapati means 50% stomach is filled by 2 chapatis, 25% by water, and 25% should remain empty. That is for air. Air is essential for digestion of food. So air and fire, that is the elements which digest the food. So one should leave everything to Krishna, that he will take care of me. And there are devotees, we have known such persons, elevated souls, who have not bothered for their physical condition, left everything to Lord, and they recover also. Even in this world also, there are people like it. They have faith in Lord Krishna, Lord, whatever God they worship, and ultimately they get cured without taking too much medicine or something like that. So this kind of faith one has to develop, and this is a sign of a karma. When we leave everything to Lord, and Lord has also said that I preserve whatever you possess and I provide whatever you lack. So this is assurance of Lord Krishna. Yes, Mate, this one also. Which is
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruit of reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is binding upon the worker. And that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein before.
Thank you, Mataji. So now Lord Krishna, you can see here, there are only two categories he's talking about. Either it is akarma or vikarma. Anything which is not akarma is vikarma, including karma. It is implied here, it is not stated in words, but anything, that means a pure devotee has to do all things in relation to the service of Lord Krishna without any desire for self-sense gratification, without any desire for getting results or some kind of fruit out of his actions. And when one is drawn to this extent, then he forgets about maintenance of his body or even feels helpless in the material world, but very surrenders to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a clear message that do akarma. Now, why Lord is talking, giving this knowledge of karma and akarma and vikarma to Arjuna? Anyone? Can you guess why he is giving this knowledge to Arjuna? Yes, Sheila Mataji. Pankaj Dubey Prabhu. Shrishti Mataji, Siraj Paul, Swam Prabha Mataji. Anyone?
Gee, I do not know the answer, but this is what is, I'm not sure whether it is good or bad, but this is what is happening with me nowadays. I keep listening to Krishna videos the whole day, I don't know. And by the God grace, by the Krishna grace, I got the opportunity just 2 days back only to visit Barsana, Vrindavan, and all.
Very nice.
And we did the Govardhan Parikrama too. But nowadays, I'm not quite interested in the personal maintenance, and I'm just listening to God's videos and YouTube. The bhajans and all.
Hari
This
Bol.
I'm not sure whether it's good or bad,
Hari
but
Bol
this is what is.
Mataji. Hari Bol Mataji. Very nice. So you are very fortunate you had been to Barsana, Radharani's temple and the Govardhan Parikrama. Wonderful. So in fact, Arjuna, we remember for the first chapter and also second chapter, he refused to fight. Now Krishna is telling him that do it as akarma. Fight, stand up and fight. This knowledge is being transmitted to Arjuna just to motivate him to and also to educate him that it is his duty to fight. It is akarma. Even if you will not incur any kind of reaction, if you fight and kill your the teachers or relatives or brothers or cousins and these army people who are on the path of a religion. So Lord is telling that do it as your duty and surrender every results to me. Then there shall be, it will not incur any kind of reaction. So otherwise, if you do not fight, then it will be karma for you. So this is why Lord Krishna is telling, giving this transcendental knowledge to. Now this was about karma. Yes, anybody else would like to read it? Yes, Shrishti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yadricha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha samaha siddha vasiddhau cha kritvapina nibadhyate. Sorry, I read 4.22 first.
Oh, no problem. Please continue.
Nirashiriyata.
Just hold it. You give me the meaning of translation of 22
Yes,
first.
yes, yes. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Nirashiriyata chitatma tyakta sarva parigrahah shariram kevalam karma kurvanapnoti kilbisham. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence, perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Nirasir Yat Chittatma Tyakt Sarva Parigraha Shariram Kevalam Karma Kurvan Apnoti Napnoti Kilvisham. Such a man of understanding acts with might and intelligence, perfectly controlled, because he is surrendered all his action and reactions to Lord Krishna, and his mind it is stable and controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions. That means whatever possessions he has, he does not consider that he is the master of those or the owner of those possessions, but accept Krishna is and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful action. A person, he is a Siddha Purush in this state, and he is not affected. And who are these 6 persons sitting here? Can anybody name them?
6 Goswamis.
6
Prabhuji,
Goswamis of Vrindavan.
Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Sanatana Srila Raghunath Das Goswami.
Coming from left, he is Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt, and Gopal Bhatt Goswami. These are 6. Now, why this picture is given in reference to these 2 verses? Because now let us relate word by word with these Goswamis. They were, they used to wear only one loin cloth, one single unstitched piece of cloth that is total possession. Just one pot that they used to carry for their water, for food, everything. And they had a mat only for living in Vrindavana. And they were sent to Vrindavana by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, to find out the pastime places of Lord Krishna and also write religious scriptures. So these 2 Goswamis, of course, all the 6 Goswamis, they are perfect examples of what is stated in 21 and 22. They were always satisfied with gains which comes from its own accord. Whatever, even they will, when they were meditating or they were doing Japmala, then sometimes 1 day, 2 day, they will keep on doing meditation and, reciting the holy name, and they will not take in food because nobody gave them any food at that time. And you'll be surprised to know that once Lord Krishna himself came and gave them some kind of food in a disguised form. So they were free from duality, and they did not envy anyone. They did not envy. And being envious is a disqualification in Krishna consciousness. Why Lord Krishna gave this message of Gita to Arjuna? Because he was a pure devotee, number 1. Secondly, he was a friend of Krishna. And thirdly, he was non-envious. That is why Lord was out of his mercy, causeless mercy, gave the message of Gita to him. And who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing action. So all these 6 Goswamis are symbolic here, and they represent verse 21 and 22. Shasti Mataji, please continue.
A Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that because he is part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity but is only being done through him by the Supreme. When the hand moves, it does not move out of its own accord but by the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification.
Thank you, Mataji. So the last sentence is very important. We have already discussed its meaning earlier. A Krishna conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire. That is, whatever Lord Krishna wants, the person, a pure Krishna conscious person, does only those activities. And or whatever dovetail means that we connect every activity with Krishna. So whatever activities a person in case he does, he dovetails that activity with Krishna. And considering it's Krishna's desire, without any self satisfaction or self sense gratification, he does it for Krishna. So we have to develop this kind of feeling that whatever we do, whether we are doing say even cleaning of the home, we are cleaning home of Krishna. Well, at the altar, we are serving Lord Krishna in whatever form. Cooking, whatever we are cooking, prasadam for. So it is a best practice to offer everything to Lord Krishna before we consume anything. And we have already heard, or might come ahead, that if one eats without offering to Lord whatever food has been prepared in the home, or whatever new food or fruit comes to in the home, or even dry fruit, anything, first it has to be offered to the Lord, then only consumed. One who does not do that it becomes a sin. And you will remember when we're talking about demigods, that everything, all sacrifice material, all material of sacrifice should be offered to demigods first, because they have given us those things as a as a boon to us. So before we consume, we must offer them to. And the verse was that if you eat it, then it becomes a sin. So whatever actions we perform, they have to be dovetailed with the Lord Krishna only. Yes, Mataji, this one also. This, then we move on.
He, no, he moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so a Krishna conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his endeavors. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession, yet the animal does not protest, nor does it have any real independence. For maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. He does not therefore become contaminated by such material sins. He is free from all reactions to his actions.
Thank you, Shrishti Mataji. So this is a beautiful. Can anybody give an example of a person who matches all these qualities, or who possessed all these qualities? Swayam Prabha Mataji.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Very nice. And anyone else?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. That is perfect. Thank you, Mataji. That is the perfect answer. Now let us correlate, just to be very brief. He works like a machine. Just when I read these things, think of what Prabhupada did. As a machine part requires oil for cleaning or maintenance, so a Krishna consciousness maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service world. This is what Prabhupada did. He had 2 heart attacks traveling in a cargo ship to New York, yet he did not bother about it much. What he was eating very, very little. He was sleeping for 2 hours only, and he had left everything to Krishna to look after, so far as he is concerned. Now he is therefore immune to all reactions of his end. All his thoughts, actions, everything was dovetailed with the thought of Krishna. Like animal, he has no proprietorship over on his body. Now, for maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. He does not, therefore, become contaminated by such material since he is free from all reactions. So, Srila Prabhupada is a perfect living example in recent past that we can quote in respect of. So, whatever he was doing akarma. Everything related to Krishna. He had assured his, spiritual master. Who was the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada? Anybody remembers the name?
Srila Bhakti
Srila Bhakti
Saraswati.
Siddhanta Saraswati.
Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada, Siddhant Saraswati. Yes. And he has given 2 instructions that go travel to youth, you are educated young men, and spread the name of Krishna in the Western world. And whenever you have money, publish certain books. And at the age of 69, he took up such a hard endeavor. And in 13 years period, he traveled entire globe 14 times. So this is the commitment, and every time he was talking about Krishna, even while walking also, the people will be interviewing him, and there shall be dictaphone recording his talks also. So every time he was talking Krishna, Krishna, and Krishna only. Yes, anybody else would like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna,
He is
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. He is satisfied with the gains which are obtained of their own accords. A Krishna conscious person does not make much endures even to maintain his body. He neither begs nor borrows. He is satisfied with whatever is obtained by the own honest labor, therefore independent to his livelihood. He does not get affected by anyone's instructions in the own service in the Krishna conscious. Doesn't allow any duty, any duality of the material world, like heat or cold, misery or happiness, to obstruct his service to the Lord. He is steady both in success and in failure. These signs are visible with only when one is fully in transcendental knowledge.
So this also these statements also perfectly match with what Srila Prabhupada was. So he was always, he was never affected by dualities. He was never affected. He was, the heat or cold. The climate of New York was so cold when he was reached there. He had no idea. He had no woolen clothes to match that kind of adverse weather. And he was, surrounded by hippies only. He settled down on the first place when it is there. He had no place to sleep even. So he used to sleep in outside shops or outside sometimes in park, and later on only. And he was always success in failure. He was steady. He did not bother about it. Because even getting a visa for travel to US, he used to sit outside the office for a couple of hours each day to get it. So, but he was very determined. So this is the status of Lord Krishna. The Lord Srila Prabhupada. Yes, 23. This is in fact a 23. Yes, Prabhuji, you would like to read this one? You can read the translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Kata sangyasya muktasya janavastitva chetasah yajna karta karma samgram par vilayate. The work of the man who is unattached to the mode of the material nature and who is fully situated in the transcendental knowledge, merge entirely into a transcendence. Tran, transcendence.
Yes.
Brahm,
This is
Brahma.
24. This one is 24, in fact, wrongly written here.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
4.24.
4.24. Brahma Pranam. Brahma Havir. Brahma Ganuhu. Brahmana Hatum. Brahma Viva Teno Gantatvam. Brahma Karma Samadina. The person who is fully absorbed in the Krishna consciousness is sure to be attained the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to the spiritual activity, in which consummation is absolute and that is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sugat sangasya bhuktasya jnana avasthita chetsa yagya yacharat tah karma samagram praviliyate brahmarpanam brahmhavir brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmev tena gantavyam brahm karma samadhina. So these are symptoms of a person who is a karma yogi, who is doing a karma. And the picture below shows the Srila Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami in the Vrindavan. They are always thinking of Krishna, how to serve him, serve by preaching, serve by doing japam, serve by writing scriptures or books relating glory of Lord Krishna and Radharani, and also searching the places of their pastimes which were lost during Mughal period in India at that time. So work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully satisfied in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendental. So they were always in a transcendental mode. That is, they were highly elevated and always thinking of Krishna. And when this happens, the ultimately person becomes completely merged into the spiritual kingdom. So this is the, yes, Prabhuji, this one also. Such a person. Yes, yeah, Prabhuji. Pankaj Dubey, Prabhuji, are you
Yes,
there?
Prabhuji.
Yeah, please read.
Such a person is said to be Krishna conscious. It is freed from all that dualities and contamination of material modes. To knowing the constitutional relationship with the Krishna, his mind is undeviate from the Krishna. Whatever he does for Krishna. All his work technically became the sacrifice. And every sacrifice is satisfying the Vishnu Krishna. The resultant reaction to all such work is certainly merged into transcendence or transcendence liberation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this section dealt with karma in the perspective of real knowledge or jnana. There are three types of karma. What are the symptoms of a person who is a vikarmi, who is a akarmi? Lord deliberately did not talk about karma too much because Vedic instructions, Vedic injunctions are normally directed at karma kanda or the fruitful activities, activities which result into some kind of reactions or fruitful or benefit results. So now in this next section, we are going to have maybe next day, may not be tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, that Lord Krishna will be talking about sacrifices. How many types of sacrifices are there? Why people do them, and what is their outcome ultimately? So that shall be discussed in next lecture. A person, these are the symptoms of a person who is akarmi or who is fully a pure devotee in Krishna consciousness. He is dovetailing every action of his day or night in the service of Krishna only. He is in a state of Suddha Sattva or Vishnu Tattva, that is, he is above the mode of goodness in the mode of transcendence. So these examples of six Goswamis, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and then those all other four Goswamis that was given here. So we have to some other classes to begin from 8 o'clock. I have to withdraw now. So any question, very quick question, you may ask, please. And then the attendance link is posted in the chat box already. Please, fill the attendance so that before you leave. The class begins at 6:50 a.m. Shihan Sahu Mataji. Class begins at 6:50. We have chanting for 10 minutes and then 7 sharp I start the class, and we are supposed to close down at 8 o'clock in the evening. So if there is no question, I will, because the other batch has already joined this link. So I'll request if there is any question, please ask. Otherwise, we'll stop this class now. Hare Krishna. So there being no question, I shall close. Vancha kalp tarubhyascha krapa sindhuva eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnav ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna devotees, Prabhujis and Matajis. Dandavat pranam to all of you. We stop the recording.